Families across Georgia and around the world are getting ready to celebrate Hanukkah, the Jewish festival of lights. So let's work to understand more about the meaning of the holiday with Rabbi Brian Glessman, Director of Outreach and Community Engagement for the Marcus Jewish Community Center. Happy Friday to you, Rabbi. Glad to have you here.
Good morning. Good to see you as well.
All right. So for people who may not know about Hanukkah, I think a lot of us maybe know the basics, but maybe not know the central meaning of Hanukkah. Tell us a little bit more about it.
Sure. Hanukkah is an ancient festival. We celebrate it as we acknowledge and remember, commemorate that in 165 before the Common Era, evil, wicked rulers chose to subjugate us. But there were a small band of Hebrews, the Maccabees, who believed in their commitment to religion and decided to enter the Holy Temple, which had been desecrated, and were able to rededicate the temple after it had been basically destroyed and desecrated. So they found some oil, which seemingly was enough to last for one day, but a miracle occurred, and the oil that they used to light up the candelabra, the menorah, lasted for 8 days. Thus, we have an 8-day celebration. That is Hanukkah. And we celebrate it today by lighting what we call a Hanukkah menorah or a Chanukiah. Each night we recite blessings, we sing songs, we celebrate with family. But the most important part of the holiday, honestly, is that we are required to publicize the miracle that a small group of people were committed enough to save their religion, religious liberty, religious freedom. They fought for that freedom. So we're supposed to light the Hanukkah menorah in a window as if to call attention to the fact that we are able to celebrate, to commemorate, and be public about our religion and our traditions.
Yeah, it's really a special time. You talked about the menorah. We were just looking at some video of the menorah being lit. So Hanukkah, the holiday, lasts 8 days. What does each of those candles represent?
Wow, beautiful question. Ultimately, each day represents a miracle that the oil existed and the miracle that there was enough. But I believe that part of the miracle is that each light is symbolic. Night number one, we light one candle, one small candle. Night number two, another candle, which means that each of us has the possibility to spread light, to be light. We start small, baby step. How can I possibly do anything meaningful? It's just me. How can I save the world? But if we start small, attempt to do something good, that light grows exponentially. It grows and it grows and it grows until we become light and we're able to be light to the people and the world around us.
I love that. And Rabbi, Metro Atlanta's Jewish community, we know, continues to grow. So what does Hanukkah look like here in the Metro Atlanta area now?
There are celebrations everywhere. I am at the Marcus Jewish Community Center of Atlanta, and we celebrate at our agency on our campus throughout the holiday. Every night we light the Chanukiah, the Hanukkah menorah, publicly. Everyone's invited. And we have some bigger celebrations as well, but many organizations, synagogues, and institutions celebrate throughout the community, and it's quite beautiful and quite powerful.
It really is. Rabbi, before you go, I do want to ask you about this. You know, we are in a time where we're seeing, in some spaces, rising anti-Semitism. How does the Jewish community use Hanukkah this time to build both visibility and even some solidarity?
Beautiful. The word Hanukkah itself comes from a root that means dedication. We dedicate ourselves to what we believe in, and it's through that dedication and also through education. The word Hanukkah also means education. We not only educate ourselves, but let's educate each other so that we can be supportive, so that we can be interconnected, and so that we can be emissaries for good.
A new report from Georgia Tech says the toy supply chain is under pressure again, and it could mean fewer options and higher prices as we head into the final stretch of the holiday shopping season. Let's learn more about this toy crunch with Stephen Chininis, a professor of practice at Georgia Tech, also a longtime toy designer. It's great to have you and welcome to the show. You know, we're in crunch time now, 13 days until Christmas. Is there really a supply shortage, or is product just kind of moving slow these days?
There's a bit of a shortage, as you probably can figure out. If you're going to get some toys manufactured, you have to do it in June, not now. So they had to make all the different companies had to make big important decisions in the middle of high tariffs and a number of other shipping issues. So there will be some shortages, but don't panic because we don't have a Tickle Me Elmo this year. And so the toys will be spread out amongst people who want different things. And so there will be some short supply. I'm really sorry if you were trying to get the Wicked Lego playset. They're still available, but they're about double in price. So if that's what you were after, it'll be a little tough.
Thankfully, my kid's 3 and under, so basically anything that makes noise is the hot toy in our house this year. But you know, you mentioned these tariffs being as high as 145%. These containers in your report saying some jumping from $2,500 to $20,000. So what does all this mean for Georgia families who want to just go out and do some Christmas shopping this weekend?
You just need to be flexible. If you were going for one particular toy, the supply might be short. The prices might be a little bit more. The tariffs didn't create double prices. They created a few dollars here and there. And so everything's going to be a little bit more expensive, especially the things that are in demand. So that's what it means to somebody going shopping. Shipping costs a lot more. There's a lot of pressure on especially small and medium companies because there's not only the pressure of the tariffs and not only the pressure of higher shipping costs, but also things like healthcare for their employees. That's on a lot of the medium-sized toy companies that I deal with.
You know, so much economic data was delayed due to the shutdown. It's going to be interesting to see what consumer spending looks like on the other side of this holiday. Do you have any inkling as to what that could look like come January, whether this was a lean Christmas for Americans or otherwise?
I think our shoppers are quite intelligent, and they saw the warning signs, especially moms and dads who wanted to make sure and get that special toy. So I think a lot of shopping was done way early. And so it looks pretty good right now, but I don't think that it's going to continue through the holiday season. I think sales will taper off, and then it'll be interesting to see. The predictions keep saying it's best Christmas ever, but we'll see. I think it's going to be even. I think it's going to be a good. The last thing we scrimp on is toys for our kids, right? So we're still buying toys. But they're costing a little bit more, and the sleigh and the reindeer, they're costing a little bit more this year.
The Federal Reserve lowered its key interest rate by a quarter point again. Now, this is the third rate cut that we've seen this year, at least the one like this, as the Fed is working to balance stubbornly high inflation numbers and a cooling jobs market. In his announcement, Chairman Jerome Powell said the Fed is now in a wait-and-see mode as it decides future monetary policy decisions.
There is no risk-free path for policy as we navigate this tension between our employment and inflation goals. A reasonable base case is that the effects of tariffs on inflation will be relatively short-lived, effectively a one-time shift in the price level. Our obligation is to make sure that a one-time increase in the price level does not become an ongoing inflation problem.
All right, so right now let's talk about how this cut could impact your pocketbook with Sina Galora, Assistant Professor of Supply Chain Management at Georgia State University. Sina, great to have you here with us this Friday. So let's start with this. What does this rate cut tell us about the broader health of the economy, at least from a supply chain perspective?
Yes, so basically the Fed has judged that the labor market has cooled enough, even though inflation is still at uncomfortable levels. They are becoming increasingly worried about the labor market and jobs availability to the American people. So that's why they decided to lower the rate.
Yeah, we know it was a decision that wasn't unanimous. We know some of the board voted against it. But when borrowing becomes cheaper, how quickly, if at all, do we start seeing the costs come down?
So about the descent, when you look at the summary of economic projections, several people did not agree with today's decision. A lot of them wanted no rate cut. One person wanted 2 rate cuts. And so the cents are back on the table after many years. And part of that is because the data is ambiguous. Some part of the data, when you look at inflation, shows elevated inflation, which is really hurting a lot of people. And importantly, it's cumulative. So it's been happening over the years. And now the prices are way higher than a few years back. At the same time, finding jobs is becoming harder and harder. Now, so what the Fed did with dropping the rate will lower the borrowing costs for businesses, and so it should stimulate more economic activity, which might help many businesses in starting to invest again and hiring more and more people, and so that should help create some marginal stimulus for the economy.
All right. So let's talk about Georgia. We're focused on Georgia here. Are there any industries here that could benefit the most, you think?
Yes, Georgia, being a transportation and logistics and supply chain hub, it's very exposed to what the economy is doing. If the economy is slowing down, lots of movements on transportation and warehousing and all that slows down, so we will feel the effect pretty strongly. And so with more and more rate cuts, if the economy is effectively stimulated, this should create a lot of business activity because, with all the supply chain linkages that are here, with ports and seaports and airports and all the other infrastructure facilities, retail and commerce facilities that are in this region, Georgia should be starting to see the benefits of that.
Mm-hmm. And Sina, we heard Jerome Powell being pretty cautious, to say the least, there in his words after the Fed cut. Is there a danger, though, that the Fed could be moving too slowly when it comes to cuts or too quickly, specifically how it might affect the supply chain?
Yes. As they have clearly mentioned, they see a lot of risks, and they actually don't have unambiguous data to go by, especially with the government shutdown. We also skipped a few reports and important data points. So things are extra ambiguous right now. And so what they're worried about is if they drop the rates too soon, it might stimulate too much economic activity and bring inflation back on the table, even though it's still not fully dealt with. So it might exacerbate it into a bigger problem. But what we see at this point is the job market is continually weakening. We actually see new graduates finding the job market harder and harder every semester.
All right.
And so that's what they're balancing the decision on.
Two expected sources of congestion in the coming days. You got the downtown connector, always. And then you got Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. That's going to be busy too, as AAA says this year's year-end holiday travel will be the busiest on record, with millions hitting the roads and airports between now and New Year's Day. Joining us now to talk more about it is AAA's Montre Waiters with everything folks need to know. Montre, great to see you this morning. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
So why is this year shaping up to be the busiest year-end travel period ever?
So look, what we're seeing is simple. People feel travel is vital. After being stuck at home during the pandemic, they view it as a key to feeling good and staying close to others. So each year since the pandemic, we have been seeing travel kind of uptick. We project right now 122 million Americans will be on the move, including more than 3.8 million Georgians here alone.
All right. And what about driving versus flying? What are most folks going to be doing?
Oh, absolutely. So, most folks will be driving. So out of that 3.8 million, we're going to have at least 3.4 million who are going to be hitting the road. So folks, it's very important that you make sure that you get your car checked out by a trained technician before hitting the road. Driving is overwhelmingly favored among most travelers because it's convenient and low cost.
Yeah, I mean, flight tickets these days, they're getting up there. But if you're going to be hopping in the car, I mean, gas prices year over year, at least steady, right?
Oh, absolutely. So here's the good thing, and hopefully by the time Christmas get here, gas prices have been trending well below $3. So right now we're kind of sitting at 2.79, and last year around this time it was like around 2.90. So right now we're anticipating that gas prices will still kind of be low this year.
Okay, what about the worst day to drive nationally? And does Atlanta follow that pattern? When do I need to avoid the roads?
Of course. So Christmas week is forecast to be the busier on the road than it is for New Year's. So, but both weeks will see days of increased traffic. So we always tell drivers, make sure you leave early as possible, because anytime after noon, folks, pack your patience. You're going to be sitting in traffic.
Okay, what about if you're going to be flying? Is there one day that you're projecting to be just kind of the worst, the busiest? I believe, over Thanksgiving, but it's usually like the Tuesday before and the Sunday and Monday after. What are we looking at for Christmas this year, which happens to fall on a Thursday?
Absolutely. Again, because it's kind of stagnant as far as when folks will leave around Christmas, it's very important to make sure they just check their flight status before leaving home to make sure there aren't any delays or cancellations. So definitely that week heading up into the couple of days before Christmas, the airports are going to be very crazy. So we're asking folks to please get there at least 2 hours before your flight for domestic and 3 hours for international. So it's all about making sure, really getting there and you can get through security so you don't have any issues and you make your flight on time.
That's right. You do not want to miss that holiday flight home. That's for sure. Got to answer to some family members when you get there. Hey, is there one big misconception people have when it comes to off-peak travel? Any advice as we head into these crazy few weeks here?
Well, again, it's all about planning ahead. Unfortunately, for the folks that, especially if you're going to be flying, that have not already purchased your ticket, we talked about how ticket prices are already increased. Expect that to probably maybe even double because you wait till the last minute. And we would hope that you would consider travel insurance with that. Because again, if there's a delay or cancellation, if you paid all of this money, you're going to want to have something to help you out when it comes monetarily. So travel insurance is definitely something they should keep in mind.
Yeah, worth seeing if your credit card company will help you out there in that regards too.
Emory finds Georgia parents still overwhelmingly support childhood vaccines, even as national policy debates grow louder. The Rollins School of Public Health poll found nearly 9 in 10 Georgia parents say routine vaccines are safe, with about half saying they're very safe. Trust in personal pediatricians far outweighs trust in federal agencies when parents make vaccine decisions. And more than 7 in 10 Georgia parents, well, they support the hepatitis B vaccine being given at birth, with nearly half strongly supporting it. So let's go ahead and dive deeper now with Chair of Emory's Department of Health Policy and Management, Dr. Stephen Patrick. Welcome. Good morning.
Good morning.
So let's talk about this. So when you look at these numbers I just read, what stands out most to you about where Georgia parents are right now in the mix of all of this?
Well, this is good news. We saw no change from our poll last year on parents' thoughts of safety of vaccines. And that's a win. What parents are telling us is that they believe vaccines are safe and they know who their trusted messengers are.
And so this poll, you said, very similar to last year's, the results. Tell me, does that surprise you? Because these conversations are only growing more and more now. We know CDC has been having nonstop meetings on these regulations.
It was a surprise. I think one of the worries as a pediatrician was that all of the discourse we're seeing, all the misinformation, might erode some of the thoughts of vaccine and the safety of vaccines. But what we're seeing are things holding steady. I think one other thing that we saw was that parents don't really understand what some of the meetings are at ACIP. And, why would they? These meetings were working well before, and all of a sudden this year, they've gained a lot of attention. We asked parents about, did they know that meeting at CDC can affect insurance coverage for vaccines? Most of them did not know that. What's worrying about this, the one part of our poll which is worrisome, is that parents were asked, if your insurance didn't cover vaccines any longer, would you be likely to pay for them? And what we saw was that parents with incomes less than $75,000 were far less likely to pay for vaccines out of pocket for either finances or out of choice compared to higher income families.
So, why does trust in doctors remain so high even when trust in institutions is kind of rocky right now? Do you think it's the one-on-one personal conversation that you're able to have inside of a doctor's office?
It's been consistent. I would say that when I talk to families, I have a one-on-one relationship with my patients. That's different than seeing something on TikTok or on the news. It's about a trusted relationship that you walk through really challenging times sometimes with your child's doctor. One thing that I found interesting is that trust in your child's doctor is stronger this year than last year, while everything else stayed the same. The other group that had high amounts of trust was your local health department. So I think what parents are telling us is that their trust is local. They know who their trusted messengers are. It's their child's pediatrician or family doctor, and it's their county health department.
So overall in Georgia, can you kind of compare the state as far as what our parents are saying to other states or most states right now?
Well, we don't have national data, so we do this poll annually, and we'll have more releases in the coming months where we just take a pulse of where parents are and where kids are in the state of Georgia. So we don't have similar data for other states. I will say that one thing that we do know is that we've seen a decline in kindergartners being fully vaccinated going in to kindergarten. And that's worrisome right now while we're seeing outbreaks just north of us in South Carolina of measles. And so we know that some of our vaccine rates are a little bit lower than some of the other states, but I think this poll, all in all, is encouraging that parents are holding steady.
And so I have a friend who just welcomed a baby about 3 weeks ago. And so she's one of the many that are new parents, first-time parents, overwhelmed with the questions of, oh, is the child getting this shot? Are they getting the shot? What would you say to those parents who are maybe confused trying to figure things out?
Talk to your doctor. Your trusted messenger is the place to go. I mean, I would just say, like, my own training, 15 years of training to take care of, babies in hospitals. It's a long period of time where people train just to care for children. So those trusted relationships where you go to, talk about snotty noses and sore throats, those are the same messengers to talk to about vaccines. It's
Absolutely.
about having trusted partners.
This is the District 35 special election we've been talking about for a few days now. He came out by just a few hundred votes. You see the result here on your screen. Dr. Howard defeating longtime state representative Roger Bruce, who had served in the state house for more than 20 years. We are happy to be joined by Dr. Howard this morning to talk about the win and his goals in office. So good morning and congratulations.
Good morning. Feeling great.
Yeah, how are you feeling? 236 votes. I mean, it must have been a bit of a nail biter.
Yeah, a nail biter, a big faith challenge, but we're excited about the win, but more excited about the work ahead.
All right, so what is some of the work ahead? Day one, when you hit the ground running, what are you looking forward to doing?
Have you been to the grocery store lately? We had to talk about affordability. And the good news is that no matter what side of the aisle you're on, you know that everything costs way too much. And you also know that trust in government is way too low. So we're building that back up step by step, phone call by phone call. So we're going to build trust. We're going to make sure we're going after those issues that are affecting affordability. There may be some price gouging going on. There may be some big super industries coming that are maybe affecting our energy costs, data centers. There are some housing vultures that are trying to take our homes right from underneath us, including my childhood home in Southwest Atlanta. We have to do something, and at the state level, we can get it done.
I know you've been talking so much about affordability, and you mentioned data centers here. What a hot button topic right now.
That's right.
I mean, we were talking about it all week in DeKalb County. You're representing Fulton and Cobb. I'm sure no doubt going to be at the center of this as well. You say that you want to fight to pause the construction of these new mega data centers. Yes. How exactly do you do that? How do you plan to go toe-to-toe with some of these big tech companies?
Yeah, you're going against the big tech companies, you're going against the bot politicians, but guess what? The people have power. When folks learn the truth, they're going to want to say, you know what? We're not anti-data centers, but let's pause and let's tell the truth. If we're going, let's not just say transparency, let's be transparent. All these NDA agreements or backroom deals, we have to tell the truth about the land use, about the energy use, about our water, about our air, about our sound, about long-term strategies, about these mega warehouses just full of servers. What's our long-term plan? What's the impact on AI to our workforce? What are we going to do to reinforce the workforce here in Georgia? We're the #1 place to do business, right? But let's make sure we're the #1 place to live.
Are you concerned about what AI could mean for jobs for some of your constituents?
Oh, we all should be greatly concerned. We know technology is coming. We understand that we have a president who's saying, hey, AI, go for it. You just do your thing. And I think there's some national legislation to say, hey, like, no, we don't want states to get involved at all, right? But at the end of the day, we have to protect our state. We have to make sure that we're fighting. People are expecting their state government to fight for them.
All right, so you're going to be finishing out Jason Estevez's term
That's
here,
right.
Which means since this was a special election, you're going to be holding this office for essentially less than a year until you run again. Is that right?
Sure.
You plan to run again?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
We have work to do. Yeah, at the end of the day, this seat belongs to the people, and that's why we won. People don't want stuff just passed down to them from on high from any political party. The people want to be heard. They made their voices heard against some pretty major machinery, political machinery. We came out on top, and we're going to win again.
Well, Dr. Howard, what's your message to the folks who did not vote for you?
We have work to do together. I'm not here to hold grudges. I don't play the political games like other people. We're here on a higher mission. We have bigger fish to fry. So let's go. Let's go to work.
How do you plan to work with Republicans on the other side of the aisle?
Hey, it's amazing what happens when you listen. You realize you have a lot of shared issues. Shared issues mean we can work together. You know, and again, people want to play games, let them play games. But we'll be here talking to people, talking to folks on both sides of the aisle and say, let's get to work.
I want to get back to affordability because, I mean, that's really been the central focus of the campaign. You mentioned grocery prices at the start of this, rents as well. What can you do really in those first few months in office for your constituents to really immediately feel a difference? Is it at the grocery store or is it elsewhere?
First is information. They need to know that we have vultures out here who are artificially inflating rent prices. We have people who are messing up the housing market where you have everyday people trying to buy a home, but they have to go up against private equity. Why do you have to go up against private equity Wall Street money when you're trying to buy a home? So let's have those conversations. And it's amazing. And Democrats may not have the votes in the state Senate, but we definitely have the voice. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to bring the voice, and we're going to make sure we work together, Republicans and Democrats, to talk about those common issues. I understand everybody wants to figure out what can we do to separate ourselves and play those games. That's fine. People are going to do that. But at the end of the day, people are struggling to make payments on their credit cards. People are struggling to afford gas in their car. We have to make sure that we ease that burden.
I got to ask you, I just got 45 seconds left, but something that was really interesting. You're saying you want to introduce a bill that would allow new small business owners to pay zero taxes for the first 2 years?
Oh, very much so.
Can you get that to the governor's desk? And how?
Let's make this happen. If Republicans want to be about business, let's be about small businesses. And if AI is gutting our workforce, the used to be side hustle is now the side LLC. Let's go ahead and make sure folks have the tools and the help from their government to get off the ground, build their businesses, and get things done.
You think common ground could be found there?
Oh, very much so. It's already done.
Dr. Howard, we're going to be watching closely. Congratulations again, and thank you for your time this morning.
I appreciate that.
Wallet Hub put out its report on the 100 largest U.S. cities to see what is the best place to be for enjoying Christmas. And maybe you'd be surprised by who came out on top. Maybe not. It's Atlanta sitting atop the ranking. After comparing nearly 30 holiday-focused metrics here, we rank top 10 nationally for holiday traditions and shopping, driven by a high concentration of bakeries, gift shops, decor shops, etc., etc. And the city also scores near the top for holiday generosity. How about this? Let's dig into this some more to find out why ATL is the place to be for Christmas with Wallet Hub writer and analyst Chip Lupo. Chip, happy holidays to you. Thank you for your time.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me on this morning.
Look, we're biased here in Atlanta. We know this is the place to be for Christmas, but it's good to have an outsider affirm what we've already know. What kind of metrics did you use in figuring out this ranking?
Well, it's interesting because what we did is that we measured all 100 largest U.S. cities by population over 5 dimensions. Those are traditions and fun, observance, generosity, shopping, and costs. And then we broke those down further with about 28 relevant metrics, and those cover things such as tradition, shopping, costs. Crunched the numbers 1 to 100, and yes, Atlanta came out number 1, followed by San Francisco, Seattle, Orlando, and Las Vegas.
Well, look, for folks who live here, they know it's not the cheapest of places to live on that list of 100. So how are we still able to come out on top there?
Well, it's interesting because Atlanta is it's the cheapest of the top 5.
Oh.
By a long shot, actually. Now, we did find, though, that there are some what we call affordable 4.5-star restaurants in Atlanta, but the price of a meal is still going to cost you an average meal. And more people are now celebrating Christmas with a meal at a restaurant as opposed to the stay-at-home and cooking thing. But a meal is still going to run you about $90 on average. And that's, believe it or not, that's cheaper than any of the other metro areas behind it.
Are you saying $90 for 2 if you're taking a date, or is this for 1 person?
This is, well, it's average meal, so yeah, this is like for 1 person.
All right.
Now this is overall.
It adds up, doesn't it? Anything that you found most surprising about Atlanta's performance on this list?
Now, I don't know if you knew this, but Atlanta is 10th overall in Christmas tree farms per capita.
Who knew?
Now, who knew? Because Christmas tree farms, that's not usually something you'd associate with a metro area. I grew up in North Carolina, and if you wanted a live Christmas tree, you drove out west out there and there were Christmas tree farms all the way to the Tennessee border. So
yeah,
for a metro area to have access to the Christmas tree farms, yeah, and that's far and away the highest out of any of the top 5 areas.
And I'm
but
from,
also again, yeah,
there in North Carolina, you just chopped down your own Christmas tree too. So beautiful place out there in parts of Western North Carolina. And I'm sorry to cut you off there. Anything else you want to add, Chip?
Yeah, again, just a high number of now shopping is where Atlanta does the best. Now it's been a while since I've been out to the Perimeter Mall, if it's still a thing now, but there are a high number of bakeries, holiday decoration shops, and card shops per capita. So you can do pretty much one-stop shopping when it comes to Christmas-themed gifts and shopping ideas in Atlanta.
All right, how about for the folks who may be ranked on the bottom of this list, those cities? That doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad place to celebrate, right?
Well, what's interesting, though, is that let's just focus on the bottom 2, North Las Vegas, Nevada, and Hialeah, Florida, 99th and 100th, respectively. Now, these are essentially suburbs of larger cities, but they're huge population bases. So if you're in North Las Vegas, just a short drive from Las Vegas, that's where you're going to go. You're going to go into the city for Christmas celebrations. And the same with Hialeah. It's like roughly 20 minutes from Miami. And if you're one of these warm weather, Christmas by the beach people, everything you would want to do in that area, you just take that short drive down to Miami.
And I'm just guessing here those 2 cities got dinged on affordability, perhaps?
For sure, yes. Las Vegas, relatively affordable, but Miami, yeah, way down there on the cost scale, for sure.
Britain's King Charles III is sharing new details about his cancer prognosis and a message he hopes will save lives. The 77-year-old monarch was diagnosed with an unspecified form of cancer in February of 2024. And in a message broadcast on last Friday, King Charles said early detection has made a major difference in his own treatment and is urging others not to delay screenings.
Early diagnosis quite simply saves lives. Now, I've heard this message repeatedly during my visits to cancer centers across the country. I know, too, what a difference it has made in my own case, enabling me to continue leading a full and active life, even while undergoing treatment.
And that message is resonating well beyond the UK and right here in Metro Atlanta. This week, Emory Healthcare and Winship Cancer Institute launched a new lung screening and nodule program designed to catch cancer earlier when treatment can be more effective. Joining us now is Dr. Alicia Bonanno with Emory's Winship Cancer Institute to explain who should consider screening and how this program could save lives here at home. Welcome, Dr. Bonanno. So good to have you this morning.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm very, very excited to talk about our new lung cancer screening program at Emory. I am a general thoracic surgeon here at Emory, and we primarily focus on lung cancer, esophageal cancer, and other diseases in the chest. And we just recently launched our new lung cancer screening program this past week. And as you know, lung cancer is the leading cause of cancer deaths in the U.S., which is why we take a special focus on this in particular here at Emory. And so a lot of the times people don't experience symptoms until the cancer is more of a later stage, which is why we want to do lung cancer screening on those high-risk individuals sooner rather than later. And that gives the patients the opportunity to really get more options for care as well. And so with this lung cancer screening program, we are offering quick low-dose CT. That's concerning for cancer, or do they need to go straight to a physician to talk about treatment options, biopsies, et cetera?
And can you just go through some of the symptoms that people start to notice when they realize they could potentially have lung cancer?
Yeah, so a lot of the times, again, it's really people don't have any symptoms. There are moments where people will have some cough, weight loss, even some pain in the chest as well that can sort of have some signs there. And then very late stage, you really experience more like coughing up blood, and extreme weight loss, other changes that happen there. So.
And tell me, why does catching lung cancer early, how does that make such a big difference when it comes to treatment?
Yeah, especially on the surgery side, for those that have smaller cancers, we are more likely to offer a much smaller resection versus even radiation for those folks that cannot undergo surgery. So it really makes a difference on whether you're more of a candidate for, say, a minimally invasive or robotic surgery versus a much larger operation. So the faster we find these cancers, the more likely we are to do less of a less invasive operation, which is better for patients overall.
Mm-hmm. And what's the single most important reason someone at risk should not skip screening?
So the biggest thing for not skipping screening is that you can find these so early and follow them early and really give yourself the time and the ability to have more options. And so for all of those folks that are high risk, anybody that is high risk for smoke, has a history of smoking, or they previously smoked and over the age of 50, we really, really want people to seek care. And that's especially true to really those folks that, may not really seek screening. So folks like we see a lot less of the female population that are seeking screening, a lot less of the underrepresented minorities that are seeking screening. So we're really trying to open up this lung cancer screening program so that we have a bigger opportunity for all populations.
This year, one group is taking a high-tech approach in picking a winner. Robots with pens in hand filling out the brackets. Let's find out what's behind all this with David Wax, founder and CEO of Handwritten. It's a tech company that actually uses robots to write automated handwritten notes. David, I'm fascinated by it all. Thank you for your time this morning.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on.
Tell me what you guys normally specialize in when it comes to these handwritten notes.
It's not brackets, although the robots seem to be taking a little time off from writing all the Christmas and holiday cards right now to do the brackets. But our main business is writing out thank you cards and birthday cards and that type of thing. And we do 30, 40,000 of these a day.
Do you mind holding up that letter to the camera again? Because that looks about as realistic as it can get. And I know I'm going to have some handwritten notes to send out after Christmas. So how can one acquire one of these?
Yeah, just please visit handwritten.com, and it's spelled with a Y instead of an I, so HANDWRYTTEN. And you can do the whole thing online. You can generate your own card design. You can use one of ours. You can even include gift cards to Starbucks or Amazon or a number of other brands to make that a really special gift. But we're all about kind of getting back to old-fashioned mail, as everybody is overwhelmed with emails these days. And when you get something in the mail, versus the 135 emails you get a day, you only get about 2 handwritten notes a month. So those really stand out, and we're all about helping people automate that.
Yeah, it's special, no doubt about it. Hey, how long have you guys been around and where are you based?
We are based in Phoenix, Arizona, and we've been around for 11 years, but we're rooting for Georgia in this upcoming.
Well, I like to hear that. Good, because we got a lot of Dogs fans in this building.
Of course.
And everybody wants to know what your robot has to say about college football championships. So what's the big prediction?
Well, they are saying Georgia versus Ohio could be the game of the year. And we're hoping that, Ohio State gets a few more turnovers, so it goes to Georgia.
So have you run a number of simulations, or is this just one and done?
This is kind of a one and done thing. We just, we have people in the office make their picks. Those picks then go to the robots and we write out the brackets. But it's really kind of just to take a few minutes off from getting all those Christmas and holiday cards out the door.
All right. So just to be clear, it has Georgia and Ohio State in the final?
Yeah, exactly. Georgia and Ohio State. And we're saying it's Georgia, of course.
And we're saying it's Georgia. We like to hear that here in Atlanta. That's great. Look, you got people talking about it. That's great. Do you think you might move on to maybe like March Madness or the Super Bowl after this?
We have done March Madness for the past few years. Super Bowl, and again, it's just an office game we do that somehow has made news in Atlanta all the way across the country. We have not done the Super Bowl. There's no we couldn't. It would be a simple thing for the robots to write out. So, and it's just a lot of fun for our office. We've got people here working really hard to make sure everybody's holiday cards go out. So it allows them to take a little time off, as well as the 200 plus robots we have working here as well.
Well, it's good to know you guys have a little fun in the office. Sounds like a great place to work. Anything else you want folks here on the other side of the country to know about handwritten?
It's not too late to get your holiday cards in. We're pushing them out fast and furious. I mean, you are kind of running up against the USPS deadline of getting those out. But if you were a little late on your holiday cards, but you want to upload your New Year's cards or oops, I forgot it's the holiday cards, we're always around for that as well. So please check out handwritten.com.
Georgia lawmakers are again facing calls to crack down on illegal vaping products as a new nationwide survey shows parents overwhelmingly support tougher enforcement. The survey from the group Communities United for Smart Policy found 7 in 10 parents say laws and enforcement need to be stronger to remove illegal vape products from their communities. Here to talk about it with us this morning is Richard Marianos, a former assistant director of the U.S. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco and Firearms and Explosives, and he's now an adjunct lecturer at Georgetown University. So glad to have you here with us. So let's start with this, Richard. The American Lung Association now reporting nearly 1 in 5 high school students here in Georgia is vaping. That is, by the way, double the national average. And we know a lot of the vapes that these kids are using, they have not been fully cleared by the FDA, and they're being sold in shops right here in Metro Atlanta and across Georgia. So I guess the big question is, how are these illegal and potentially dangerous vapes getting into the stores to begin with?
Well, the majority of these illegal products are coming in through China. They're being manufactured by the Chinese government, Chinese organized crimes behind it. They're being smuggled into the United States through illegal warehouses and then put it on our streets through these illegal vape shops and smoke shops. It's important to understand these are illegal operations. These aren't operations that mom and pop shops are running that are trying to sell tobacco harm reduction devices or legal products. These are illegal Chinese products to addict our children.
Yeah, and you mentioned they are on the market. We know that. So I guess that would beg the question, why isn't there more aggressive enforcement to stop the sale of these products?
Well, one specifically in Georgia is we need that directory. We need the law makers to pass the directory to give local law enforcement the tools to go to these stores and put them out of business. And it's important that they find the tools. The money's from Washington. There's $200 million that the administration has just given law enforcement to tackle this problem. But to use those monies and to develop an enforcement strategy to take these out of commerce.
Mm-hmm. You know, there has been some effort here in Georgia. I know some states already, about a dozen states have already passed what's known as e-cigarette registry laws. But here in Georgia, we did have a House bill known as 1220, House Bill 1220, the Georgia Nicotine Vapor Products Directory Act, a long title there. But this was introduced but never made it all the way through the legislature. So what can we expect to happen? Do we think this will come up again? And what do these laws do?
I can't read their mind, but it's so important. If they care about our kids and they care about our communities, they need to put this as a top priority. This is bipartisan legislation that affects our quality of life. It affects what's happening out there. It affects those 8 out of 10 parents who agree that this is one of their biggest concerns.
All right, so Richard, as authorized, unauthorized vape products, as you mentioned, continue to flood the market. Our state leaders are debating. They're introducing bills, but nothing moving forward so far. What's your advice to parents who, in the meantime, are trying to keep these vapes out of their kids' hands?
Well, keep an eye on what your kids are doing. Keep an eye on their social media. And, understand that this is not a cool thing, that it's as dangerous as anything out there. It's an unregulated product. Some of these products have 1,000 puffs, and they're a nicotine delivery system that we've never seen before. They're extremely dangerous. There is no regulation on there, and you have no idea what your kids are digesting or using. You need to concentrate on having strong conversations with them, working with your parents, your other parents, working with your teachers, and working with school resource officers to try to curb this addictive epidemic.